This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
This episode of the Fandalorian podcast is brought to you by the Adler Real Estate Team. If you live in New York, anywhere between Manhattan and Montauk, and are looking to buy or sell, you need to call the Adler Real Estate Team. This real estate company is run by a husband and wife duo that, in addition to being real estate agents, are also a public school teacher and a police officer. It is a family-run business that gives you the attention and care you need when you are about to make one of the most important decisions of your life. And I know from experience. Also, if you mention that you are a fan of the Fandalorians, they will be able to get you up to $2,000 back at closing. It doesn't matter if you are buying or listing. So, if you are buying or selling anywhere from Manhattan to Montauk, call the Adler Real Estate Team at 631-384-6372. Or check out the website at adlerrealestateteam.com. Mention the Fandalorians and save today.
All right, welcome back, class. On today's episode, we are joined by two teachers and comic book creators, Max Davenport and Andrew Maxwell, to discuss their comic book, First Place Losers, as well as discuss who is in first place and the loser in Disney Plus Star Wars TV show rankings. All this and more in a Star Wars' First Place and Loser episode of The Fandalorians. Teachers by day, nerds by night.
If you need to,
you guys are gonna have a great time.
Yeah, it'll be fun. They've done like 17 podcasts by now. They're like professionals.
No, but all of those were okay times. This is gonna be a great time.
Right. That is the bell. Class is in session. Welcome to the Fandalorians podcast. Teachers by day, nerds by night. Proud part of the Unfiltered Studios podcasting network. We are the #1 public school teacher pop culture fandom podcast in the country. Our guests searched us and found us, and they said, "Hey, we're #1." That's why we're on our show today.
Hey, we're not only #1 in the country, we're #1 in the world.
It's true. Except for Tibet, we're having problems.
Okay, we're the #2 in Tibet.
There's a public school. Yeah,
we're coming from you, Tenzin.
Yeah, they're out of control now. We join you each and every week to give you the latest news, lively debate, and reviews in the worlds of entertainment. I always say worlds of entertainment. Every time.
No, it is. It's multiple worlds because each section is its own world.
Thank you for catching me there when I was falling.
I mean, or you could just say the word correctly.
Nah, you know what? That's just what they'd be expecting. We keep the cool teacher theme. The three of us, one's missing, are lifelong friends, and there's banter, trash talking, blah, 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 as only teachers do. If you want to email the show, hit us up at the Fandalorian mailbag at gmail.com. If you want to text the show, text at 631-494-3632. You can reach us that way.
Text has been much hotter recently.
Yeah, no one does emails. I don't even know why it's on the paper.
Only teachers do emails, I think.
That's true. All right, listen, we get new listeners all the time, especially when we have a guest. Let me introduce ourselves. My name is Mr. Richardson, fourth grade teacher, the man whose son received the letter in the mail that almost made him cry. Mr. McDonald, he got emotional.
Now, hold on. Did the letter make your son cry, or did the letter make you cry?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Here's what happened. My son, and those of you who listen know he is 20 years old. He got a letter from the Southampton Pediatrics doctor office telling him that when he turns 21, he's out. He's got to get a real doctor now. It's time to leave.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
He's got to go. So his face, I know it is funny. His face was like, what do you mean? I have to go
get
to
yourself a grown man doctor.
No more Spider-Man on the wall. No more lollipop on the way out the door. No sitting in the waiting room playing with the kid toys that you're way too old to play with. It's over.
So wait. So really what that says is you are now the proud parent of an adult.
but no, he's not an adult. He's not an adult until he's not living off of me. Right now, he's still living off of me.
Can I jump in and ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So he's still got the same doctor. Does he make his own appointments, or is that's
Good question.
part?
That's a great point. Yeah, he currently we've made.
Mom, I need you to make an appointment for me.
Because that's what I remember when it was real. When it was like, what do you mean I got to make the appointment? I got to call. I was like, that was a big day. When I was
You're like, no thanks, I'd rather die.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing. No, I don't do that part.
Co-teaching with me, the man who wants to be a guest on more shows, Mr. McDonald. You like going on guests, right?
Well, I mean, Mr. Richardson and I, we have an appearance coming up on a show. And what I realized is, Mr. Richardson, you know this, it's so much easier to be a guest on someone's show. There's like no work involved. You just show up, you be moderately charming, and then boom.
This outline took me most of the day. I'm coming up with questions. I'm like working hard. I was texting, I think, Andrew last night, right? Yeah.
Like, I was like, I knew you were 3 hours ahead. I was like, that is so late.
It was like somewhere at the midnight. I'm like, hey, can I ask you guys this? Because
Mr. Richardson doesn't sleep.
I was like, well, yeah, and you have a 4-year-old, so there's no such thing as sleeping in. So you were up.
No, she's up at 7. She's up.
He's
at 7.
notoriously been a
5-hour
Batman level sleeper.
We do need to be more guests. It's definitely true. And my other co-teacher, the man who may show up at some point on this podcast, Mr. G. He's not here right now. What is it, book club? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, he is highly debated. He actually talked about it in the chat previously and off podcast to us, but it is a highly contentious book club. And so we're very curious to see how it turns out. And yes, it does make us sound like we're 80 years old.
It definitely does.
Not just the fact that we have a friend in a book club, is that we talk about the book club.
Yeah, and he was so. Yeah, it's like I can't cancel. I have to be there. It's gonna be a moment. So hopefully
it's gonna be dramatic. He said.
Right, at a book club. Like, I don't know. Sons of Anarchy. Like, what's going to happen at the book club? I don't know. We're looking forward to it.
So we're going to listen for sirens, and we're going to check the police blotter.
All right, make sure he's okay.
Stay safe, Mr. G. Stay safe.
We got 50 paper cuts.
And lemon juice. Joining us today are they've been laughing and talking a little bit, and that's great. New Jersey art teacher, Max Davenport, and California special ed teacher, Andrew Maxwell. Together, they make up 2/3 of the creative team behind the brand new comic book, First Place Losers, which is available now on Kickstarter. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
First thing I want to make this real quick. When Mr. McDonald did his intro, one of you said, yes, that was great. I heard one of you say it.
That was me.
I did mine. Crickets. I just want someone to comment on how I didn't.
You know what, Andrew? You know what I will say.
All
the people who would be so thankful for that yes would be my mother, because when I first went to college, I got a degree in broadcasting, and unfortunately, I live in New York, and you can't start in New York, and so I never really did anything with it until we started broadcasting, and then Mr. Richardson and Mr. G realized, wow, you read things really nicely. And I'm like, that's like 90% of broadcasting.
Yeah.
And so when I was done and you were like, yes, I was like, my mom would be so proud.
Well, like your guys' whole intro, like you got the little, like the theme song, everything. I like it. It's good.
Before we jump into some topics and obviously talk about your comic book, first things first, who's the third member of your team who's not here? Why doesn't he love us?
So, like I was texting with you, James, he was like, well, it's a teacher podcast. I don't know. I think I'll let you guys handle that. I'm not a teacher. And then I was like, all right, man. And then when I text him back what you were saying, he's like, oh, well, yeah, but I'm covering the LAFC game. So that's why he can't be here.
He's got like a real fun job?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, because he does quite a few podcasts himself, and he does like stuff for different sites and different things. So he's one of the guys that has like 20 jobs.
Oh, so he's not a failed broadcasting degree. He has a real broadcasting degree.
Yeah, he's what you could have been.
He had a wrestling podcast that was like, he was like working for Spotify and stuff. So he's like, if you hear him on one of these things, you're like, oh, he's light years above us and his podcast ability.
Like he has a soliloquy and you're like, Yeah.
Yeah. we readjust the outline. Okay, I'm no longer following him. He goes last in every question.
Yeah.
We can't.
I was going to say, lest we forget, he is, of course, the inimitable Flobo voice. So shout out to Flobo for helping us put this whole thing together.
Very nice. Very nice.
Guys, favorite, we got to ask it. We're teachers, all of us. Favorite teacher growing up and why?
I have had this favorite teacher for a long time. I love talking about this guy because he was such an influence in such a weird way. His name was Charles Pettibone. Shout out to Charles out there if you
Awesome name.
are
So
listening.
Mr. Pettibone, that's a great last name.
Mr. Pettibone. It's a great name, not just because it's unique, but he was a French teacher. In French, bon, of course, is
Good.
good.
Petite.
Petite is little, but pete, I found out, and this could be wrong. This is high school max knowledge, so I might be wrong. But in my head for 20 years, pete in French has been fart. So as
Good
a high
fart.
schooler,
Hey, Mr. Good Fart.
exactly. And he was he was super funny. He was one of those weird eccentric teachers, and he had this really great sort of like absurdist style of teaching. Unfortunately, some of the other students were not so into it, but I thought he was great, and that guy has been an influence on me for a long time.
But that's for me, that's my favorite kind of joke. The joke that one student in class laughs at and the rest go, huh?
Mhm.
What about you, Andrew? Who's your favorite?
So it's funny you guys said Mr. G earlier, because that's who I was going to say was my favorite teacher in high school. And my last senior year, I had 2 study halls.
Are you going to say your study hall teacher?
No, he was originally my Spanish teacher for 2 years, but then for sophomore, junior year. But then senior year, study hall 5th period, but not 6th. So I was leaving school and coming back 6th because I was like, you should have just given it to me 6th so I could leave early.
Right.
But they noticed that I was coming. They're like, well, you're cutting, but you're coming back to school. That's pretty responsible of you to do both. So they actually finally switched it because they wouldn't switch it at first. When they switched it, they put me with Mr. G, who I had earlier. And he was very much like, I know this is stupid, but we just got to do this. But he gave me so much freedom. I would get my work done, but he would just give me that freedom and treat me like an adult, which in high school
Never happens.
never happens, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just, it was just one-on-one a lot of times. So he would just be doing his things, but he would help me with whatever. But I would just like talk to him like like an adult. And it was a lot of fun. He was a good guy.
It's good to have great teachers. It really is. And
I would be remiss if I didn't just mention some of my fantastic art teachers as well. But I am an art teacher, so a lot of my methodologies for how I work today come from them. But if I had to choose a number one, it would be Pettibone. And even though he was kind of absurd and weird, just like you said, Andrew, he would like treat you like an adult, and that really made a big difference.
Respect. If you give respect, you get respect, and that helps. It definitely helps a lot. All ages. Last question before we jump into it. We're later in the podcast. We're going to do a deep dive into your comic book. We're excited to talk about it. Later in our building meeting, we're going to cover it. But can you give us the 2-sentence, the elevator pitch of your comic right now? Get our fans excited. We'll
No pressure.
Later. No pressure. I'm in an elevator. You got to sell it to me, and I'm going to the 5th floor. But I'll probably get off early because I hit the wrong button. What do you got?
But no pressure.
No pressure.
So I'll do like it's this meets this, and then I'll give a 1-sentence what it is.
Go.
So basically, Speed Racer meets Gundam. All right, so basically racing in giant robots. So a disgraced ex-pilot, an ex-con, has to redeem himself through the world of mech racing.
Let me guess. Does he have a heart of gold?
He does, but it's gruff exterior.
Nope.
Gruff
I love
exterior.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Outside the gruff exterior, there's a gruff interior, but inside deeper. No, I'm not teasing the issue 7, issue 8. We'll get to it later. I have questions. You know me. You know I got questions, but let me pay some bills. First, how can you support the show? Start by clearing a list. Reach out to teachers. This teacher's going back to school soon. They post their list online. You need a little help. This week we have Alana, whose Twitter handle is @YouAreTheTeacher.
Urban Geek 87.
Oh, I spelled it and I can read it. You know what? To be fair, I couldn't see it that far. I was squinting. Urban Geek 87.
You are so old.
Father time, man. It's killing me. Fourth grade, Florida teacher, loves Disney, reading and teaching, and she has her Amazon wish list out here. And if you want to reach on her list and get her something, she's got some Dogman books on here. She has one of those balls you throw around the room, and wherever your thumb lands, you have to answer that kind of question. A lot of different books, papers. There's some tissues, Rice Krispie treats, because fourth graders like snacks. All these things, you could pick something up, you could donate it to her, and if you donate it to her, Mr. McDonald, what does that say about your tax returns this year?
Well, number one, it says you're a nice person in general, but for your taxes, it is a charitable contribution, which is a tax deductible amount. You can get most of it back, and it's, yet again, you just feel like a good person. You get to lord it over everyone else that I helped someone and you didn't. It's pretty nice.
I love the taunting. Next, check out our merch by heading to tpublic.com. The link is in the bio of the show for our merch. You get the t-shirts, you get the hoodies, you get the hats. All of the proceeds go to Laney's Legacy of Hope. Laney's Legacy of Hope is a nonprofit organization that engages in fundraisers and activities to provide assistance to families with someone suffering from pediatric cancer. Volunteer run, no CO, no board. All the money we get from sales of our merch goes directly to them, and that money goes directly to the families, because the Fandoms, we love the kids, supporting the kids. And finally, if you're on Long Island, you want to check out Red Shirt Comics in downtown Port Jeff Village. That is the official comic book shop of the Fandalorians. Tell Mr. Darby we sent you, and he'll give you a high five. If you don't live in Long Island and don't want to fly to Long Island for this comic shop,
how dare you?
I know, it's terrible, people. You're in California.
Beautiful.
It's great. The most magical place on earth. But if you don't want to come out here, that's fine. Support your local comic book shops. That's great as well. And our socials, Instagram at Fandalorians.podcast, Twitter at FandaloriansPod, TikTok, the Fandalorians Podcast. And that's it. That's a lot. I don't even know how to shorten that up. We're just going to have to keep it all the time. We may get rid of some of that. We might not. Who knows? While I'm deciding what we're doing in the future, listen to the jingle. We'll see you on the other side.
Mandalorian fans, won't you lend me an ear? I hope this podcast sound is crystal clear. Now listen up, people, I got something to say. These are the morning announcements for today.
JD and the Mandalorians, everybody, our house band. To my left, every week they sit and do that music. It's not pre-recorded. I know that's a rumor. It's not really true. A couple things to talk about before we get to your comic book. First things up, Captain America Brand New World trailer. All right, guys, we're doing something called On a Scale of Monday to Friday. How excited are we about this film? Monday as in Monday of the school week, Friday, the end of the week, Friday before a vacation, Wednesday, but you have a half day. I don't know, mess around with it. How excited are you about this film? I know you guys do Marvel a little bit. Ms. McDonald, why don't you go first?
I'm going to go Thursday. Because, I'm not super duper excited. It's not like a Friday where you're like, yes, because there is so much pressure on this film. This film has to do well for the rest of the Marvel movies to really have like a kind of backbone to build upon. Because you can't have Avengers movies without, honestly, a Captain America. So this movie, it's so important. Having said that, looking at the trailer, it has all the things I wanted to see from it. It had, him with the shield. It had him fighting. It had him flying. It had Falcon as well. And so it had all the things that I wanted to see. And then it had an old 80-something-year-old president. I know, shocking, right? It's not like we're used to this. It had everything it needed to show. It really just teased enough. It had the Red Hulk. It's got me excited. But it's not like, oh my God, the weekend is tomorrow. It's, I just have to get through Friday and then I have the weekend. So I'm moderately excited.
I would have to agree. And I'm glad you did the demo because I was ready to say Tuesday, not fully in the right space.
Okay.
Because Thursday is better, right? But yeah if we're going like a 1 to 5.
Right.
I'm at kind of at a 4, which I guess would be a Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm actually sort of coming off of a bout of superhero fatigue. I haven't tuned into the MCU in quite a while, actually. Partly
What was
because
the last movie you saw? Endgame?
probably no, I actually missed Endgame because I was so nonplussed by Infinity War.
Wow.
Yeah. Ragnarok, maybe.
Heavy in here now.
So this is an important movie for you then. If this doesn't hook you in now, you might be done.
No, we need to cut Max's mic. How do you not like that? I'm just kidding. It's okay. But no, I can see that. I can see that as well.
The thing with Infinity War is the Thanos depiction just didn't do it for me. And at that point, another movie called The Favorite had just come out. And The Favorite was like all like dialogue and no superheroes, and it just felt like such a breath of fresh air.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, and I was like, I need more of this. And actually, you know what? Maybe I saw Deadpool 2. It's not
That was
MCU.
well
but
before.
I saw Deadpool 2 long after Infinity War.
Now, you talk about how you like talkies and not superheroes. What'd you think of Loki? Did you see it?
No, I don't like Tom Hiddleston.
Oh, wow. You are such a conundrum. I like it. Like, wow. I don't even know what to come out of your mouth next. I love it.
Just in general, I try to avoid trailers. I was happy to watch the Captain America trailer here, but generally I try to avoid trailers because it's a whole like artist thing, but I want like the thing to be revealed to me.
Sure, yeah.
Intended. And I don't begrudge anybody who doesn't prefer that, but that's sort of my approach. My de facto way of like gauging my own interest. Am I interested in seeing this thing is basically cast. So if I love the cast and I love the director, that's how I identify things I'm into. I don't have any touch points for the director of Loki, and I don't like Tom Hiddleston, so Loki just didn't really rise to the top of my list. But in fairness, I did hear a lot of good stuff about it after it came out. To get back to the original question of the Captain America trailer rating, I went back and watched. I had seen it when it came out, but I watched the first Captain America recently. I rewatched it recently, and I was like, "This is way better than I remember." And again, a similar thing with the first one. The whole like young Chris Evans kind of threw me off and made me dismiss it a little bit. Having rewatched it and sort of put that part aside and enjoyed the rest of the movie for what it was, I'm actually really into the whole Captain America thing. I'm excited to see Anthony Mackie take up the mantle. I think that's been an arc that's been a long time coming. I like how when these characters, with superhero characters that can sometimes seem monolithic, can pass these mantles, and you can get this progression and this sense of like movement in the world. So or narrative movement in the world. So I'm excited for it. I like Harrison Ford. Mackie's cool. I don't know much about the Sam Wilson character, and I don't know much about Red Hulk, but it looks from what they've got in the trailer here, looks like it's shot well. The acting looks good. Yeah, I'm in.
Andrew, what are your thoughts?
So, first thing before I get my rating, did you guys read? Were you guys reading comics when Red Hulk came in, and like the big thing was like, "Where's the mustache go?"
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right. First, it was who was he, and then when they found out who he was, it was where they.
You're like, when he transforms his mustache, and so they got rid of the mustache. They're like, we're not gonna deal with that.
Yeah.
In the movie, right? So I just thought that was like a funny, but that was like all the rage during comic jobs.
I actually remember that really well.
It was like, but in terms of, I'm in the middle of Max and Patrick, where I'm definitely superhero fatigue, which is something I never thought I would say. Like, my dad was always like, why do you want to watch that? They just punch each other the whole time. And I was like, Dad, because it's awesome, right? Like, that's how I remember being as a kid. And then now I'm starting to be like, well, like, what was the second Doctor Strange movie?
Madness or something. I forget.
Yeah.
And that movie was terrible.
Madness.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, everyone loved it, but like I heard so many good things.
I hated it.
Yeah, I hated it, and I was like,
McDonald loved it. He's insane. I hated it, but
there was
yeah.
just like 20 minutes of him punching like a blob, and then and I was like, what? I don't even care about this.
Yeah.
But then I've seen way more movies than Max has, but I'm still on the like, I'll watch. Like I saw the Captain America Winter Soldier show, so I'm up to date on, I think like on these characters' stories. I haven't seen Loki season 2. But,
so wait, if you have kids, I'm going to tell you my absolute favorite thing to do is I will take any movie and I turn it into a 5-part miniseries because you watch it 30 minutes at a time.
Oh yeah, so it's like because we got to do a nebulizer treatment a lot of times. Our guy's got asthma, so we watch stuff definitely, and I'm trying to slip in stuff that's not Blippy or Bluey or have some Ultraman, have some good, check that out, whatever I can get in there. And the Spider-Man, he loves the Spidey. You have the 4-year-old James.
Spin, yeah.
He loves
That's
that,
fun.
which is good, but it's very little kiddie-ish. So I've tried to slip the movies in, or like the perfect Venn diagram of both has been Across the Spider-Verse, because it's like animated, but it's like I'm not trying to like, my brain isn't melting out my ears like when I'm watching Spidey, right? Yeah. So it's like a nice.
Just take the L, man. You're not gonna get to watch the good stuff for a while. I'm sorry. That's what happens. I had to do it. Suddenly I'm back into it. So I watch it and I talk to the screen. I'm like, wait, the Rhino gets painted. McDonald, this is great. Rhino gets paints himself green, starts robbing banks. Everyone thinks it's the Hulk, and the Hulk's and then the Hulk is like sad, like Andre the Giant from like the Princess Bride. Like, Hulk is sad. Why everyone that? But it's clearly Rhino and green paint. There's no way that you don't know that it's like you and green paint and go, oh my God, it's the Hulk. Where's McDonald? Like, it doesn't make, and they can't figure it out. It's hysterical. I don't have fatigue in terms of it, because I still watch action movies. I have poor writing fatigue. I thought Doctor Strange 2 was just terribly written. Like, there's things that are superhero movies that are really well written. I'm in. I'm like, I write plays and things like that. Like, I see the aspect of writing and I really enjoy it. So if it's well written, I'm in. I've watched action movies. Action movies have never gone away since the 80s. If they're well written, I'm in. If they're not, they're not. I haven't liked some of the recent things because it's more spectacle, less of an actual story. The story in the first Captain America movie was there. Tangible. You like the characters. They make you care about them. You feel like there's stakes or whatever. Some of these most recent things is just like, we're going to do the spectacle, but we don't really care. Shang-Chi was good. Some of it was terrible. For this, I'm not a big Anthony Mackie guy. I'm not sure he can hold his own film like this. I really prefer Steve Rogers, but I haven't really seen him in a movie yet. I don't care too much about the Red Hulk as a character.
So what's your day?
I'll put it on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, I'm not rushing. Deadpool, I've already bought the ticket because that looks like it's going to be a good time regardless. This, I'm going to watch it, but I'm not that excited.
I mean,
the first trailer is never that the great one.
But should Marvel be worried that none of us are at a Friday?
No, because they don't know any of us. So
no, I mean, but I think we're a good general swath of the Marvel viewing,
right?
Like populace.
No, it's that, because you know what it is, McDonald, and you tell me this all the time. That second trailer, the story trailer.
The story trailer
that's
is what
the one
usually
that kind of puts up. The first one is just a bunch of visuals and a little pop.
Yeah, it's like, this is the themes that we're going for.
Can we bring up Wolverine Deadpool real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So, do you guys think we're going to see Wolverine in the mask?
Yes, absolutely.
Two things I need to see. I need to see the mask, and I've said on the podcast a few times, I need him versus Berserker Hulk. I need a multiverse.
Like a real Wolverine
old school Hulk, the old school, not the I'm really smart wearing glasses and a sweater vest Hulk. I need like rage. I need that kind of battle. I don't care. That's what I want to see.
I mean, it's going to be rated R anyway, so let them rip each other in half.
We're never going to get a chance other than this.
Things.
But I 1,000% think he'll put on the mask.
I think if I could make a specific prediction, I think we're going to see the mask for 2-3 seconds, and then they're going to rip it off in like a snarky
and say how stupid it is. Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah,
which I'm fine with.
All right, so our ratings are out, and obviously Marvel listens, so they're going to make some adjustments and obviously do some reshoots. They're big fans of the show. Feige listens all the time. He's a friend of the podcast.
Feige's like, apparently they want more mask. Okay.
Give a mask. You see Red Hulk in a mask. Like, I don't know, but we're going to make it work.
It's all Wolverine masks.
Yeah. All right, next topic. Star Wars Disney Plus show ranking. Here's what we decided. We decided to take a few minutes and discuss all the shows, all the Star Wars themed shows that are available on Disney Plus. We have Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Andor, The Acolyte, and of course the animated series, The Bad Batch, Young Jedi Adventures, Tales of the Jedi, Visions, Clone Wars, Rebels, Resistance, and play a game we like to call 2 likes, an okay, and a meh. All right, here's how it works. All of you are going to give us 4 shows, and we're going to just take guesses as to which one are your 2 likes, which one is your okay, and which one's your meh. Everyone understand the rules that I'm telling you for the first time now and did not tell you before we started recording, but we can all act like we've learned it in this moment. McDonald, you want to go first?
Yeah. All right. So here are my 4 in no particular order.
I like that.
I'm going to go Star Wars, Tales of the Jedi / Tales of the Sith, Star Wars Rebels, The Acolyte, and Andor. So what are my 2 likes there?
So I'm thinking Andor you like.
I love Andor.
Right. I feel like that's everybody's going to say that one.
Yep.
Acolyte's your Rebels is your other like.
Yep.
I'm going to think your Tales and your Sith is your okay, and your Acolyte is your meh.
Reverse those.
Okay,
All right, so read it to us.
So ready? So the Acolyte is my okay, because
Okay.
I've honestly been kind of in on the Acolyte so far. And then my meh was the Tales of the Jedi / Tales of the Sith. And I'll tell you why. This is the reason I didn't like, especially the most recent one, Tales of the Sith. What I was really hoping for is why people become Sith. And what you got was still people who kind of like dipped their toes in Sith, but then ultimately became heroes. No, what I want to know, and it's what they tried to do with Anakin, is I want to know the 10,000 decisions that it takes over time to become a bad guy. And they had an opportunity to do that, and they failed. So that's why I felt like it was such a miss for me. But that was the meh for me.
All right. Max, give us your 4.
Kenobi, season 1 and 2, Mandalorian, Clone Wars, and Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett was the meh, Kenobi was the okay, and the other 2 were the likes.
Now, I think he liked Mando and the Clone Wars.
Uh-huh.
Those were his likes. I think his okay was Kenobi, and I think Boba Fett was the meh. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Patrick is the one that said the same thing I was going to say. So
Max, who wins?
I think you guys all guessed the same thing.
We all did the exact same thing.
Then I
Oh,
win.
I thought
Yeah.
it was slightly different.
No, so ready. Boba Fett was the meh. It was Kenobi was the okay,
Right.
and then the other 2 were the likes.
And my meh and my okay are switched.
Oh, okay. So we were a little. Oh, so really, you did not like Kenobi? Okay, why?
I canceled my Disney Plus after Kenobi.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
Now, is that just not met expectations? What
Yeah.
happened?
I was really looking forward to that character. It's such a long time ago now that I watched it. I remember the experience of not liking it. I don't fully remember exactly why, but I remember like there was just a lot of just inconsistencies of plot. I remember having a big problem with the motivations and the sort of character progression of the sister. I thought it was kind of silly and not very well thought out, and the fact that it came as sort of the payoff for this thing people have been wanting since the prequels, it would just really, really fell short of expectations.
Like
All
you
right,
got stuck
fair
in a
enough.
box with that one because you couldn't kill certain characters. There's only so far it can go. You have to have a battle between them, but it has to end in the stalemate because there's movies coming up. So my
I remember
argument
like
when we did
the
this-
whole thing where like Vader is like, oh, he can't go over the fire, or he can't like.
right.
There were all these things that I was like, well, they could just do that,
Yeah.
or they
Like,
can't do that.
If you want to do this movie or this show, but you can't come up with a creative way, and I'm not saying I could, but I'm just saying come up with a creative way to work inside the box you're done, you can't do it. or you have to have Obi-Wan have an adventure that doesn't have Vader in it or Vader slightly in it, but you can't have that back. Like, there's certain things you have to. If you're not going to hit it, don't go for it, because then you end up with this. I didn't cancel mine, but I also was annoyed by it.
It wasn't like
in the middle of the episode, he paused it. Like,
yeah,
stood up. He was like,
"Give me the phone. I'm going to
it was
call."
like that was the last thing I was watching on Disney Plus at the time, and I was just like, well, I don't know, I didn't really love that, so I'm just gonna not pay for it anymore. I have since re-upped, by the way, but
that was your dramatic moment
Yeah.
to Disney Plus.
Done.
They were hoping they'd see the slight dip and be like, "Fix it."
It was like,
Yep.
They were like, wait, I just got off the phone, guys. We lost Max. What? Fix this. Like, they blow out apart. Andrew, give us your 4.
Just real quick before I go with mine, and it's not going to be on my list, so it doesn't give anything away. I didn't love Obi-Wan either, for all the reasons you guys said, and I know it was just like a fan service and just the lightsaber helmet. I mean, that was just so cool. Like,
when his voice modulated between James Earl Jones
like,
and Anakin.
It seems like somebody that was really good at CGI would do, like, as a super fan, like on a Saturday, and then post it on YouTube, and it would get like 1 million quadrillion views. But that part was cool. It was like ridiculous, and I knew neither one of them was going to die, but them knocking each other around and busting over, his face, I thought that was cool. But yes,
we can't.
But the way it started, where it was like, anytime you take an old man who used to be a badass and he has to go to the desert to dig out his weapons, like, that was a cool part too. Like, where he went and dug out his. I was like, oh,
like John
no,
Wick,
what's
like a John Wick thing?
Yeah. Like,
they had a series of cool scenes that just never paid off. You're like, all right, now I'm just gonna get mad again. All right, never mind.
We gotta stay focused. We don't need to talk about this right now. We gotta stay focused and get through the podcast. We don't have to talk about the 4 assassins that couldn't catch the 5-year-old girl. Like, we just got to move past certain things.
That's because she's so plucky.
Yes. Andrew, what are yours?
Okay, so I'm gonna say Bad Batch, Visions, Ahsoka, and Boba.
All right, I'm gonna go first. Your likes are Bad Batch and Visions. Your okay was Ahsoka, and your meh was the last one. The other one.
Boba.
Boba. Yeah.
Okay.
I think your likes were Bad Batch and Visions. I think Ahsoka was your okay, and Boba was your meh.
That's exactly what I said, Jimmy.
I know. I can say mine too. I don't.
Yeah, but you said it like it was different.
I to be fair, I completely wasn't listening to you, and I was writing down my own notes. It's often on the show. I really don't listen to what you're saying. Matt, your thoughts.
All right, I don't listen to me either.
So it was Ahsoka, Bad Batch, Visions, and Boba. So I'm gonna say Boba was your meh, Visions was your okay, and Bad Batch and Ahsoka were your likes.
Can I reveal it now?
Yes, you can.
Go for it.
Yeah, Max is actually correct.
It's like he knows you.
Almost.
Because this is my only thing, because
in my defense, I only met you 30 minutes ago.
I think those are like solid guesses. I liked Ahsoka probably more than I feel like a lot of people did. I mean, I watched all the Clone Wars and Rebels, and so to me it was.
Did you not put Clone Wars in your top because you thought people would pick it immediately?
Yeah, because it was such a like right off the bat, and I was trying to pick ones different than you guys, but I put Boba in there just as like the obvious. To me, Star Wars is very like pizza. Like I can eat 7-Eleven pizza, or I can eat.
Even if it's bad, it's good.
Yeah, like even Boba Fett, which I think was, we still got him crawling out of a Sarlacc pit. We still got like a lizard crawling up his nose and giving him weird hallucinogenic dreams. I mean,
who hasn't had a lizard crawl up their nose,
right? I still thought there was cool moments. It just wasn't good. But Visions, with any anthology series, there's episodes that I thought were amazing, and then there was episodes that I were like, I wish I could have had a different one for that one.
Yeah. My biggest flaw with Visions is I wish it was part of canon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's tough. It's a multiverse thing. It's tough.
Because no matter how good an episode is, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did like season 2, how they did so many different kinds of animation. Like that was really cool.
Well, I think that's the one thing they learned. They were like, go even crazier with the animation.
Yeah.
Like in season 2 when they had the Wallace and Gromit
Yes.
animation, you're
That
like,
was-
this is fantastic.
That was awesome. Yeah.
All right, we broke down Star Wars. Clearly, everyone likes Clone Wars. that's where it stops. Now, there's a bell. There's a building meeting jingle. After the bell, after the building meeting jingle, we'll come back. We're going to talk to Andrew and Max about their comic book. Less talking from us, more talking from them. Coming up after this.
Come on down to the building meeting. Come on down today. There's many things to talk about. Yes, you have to stay. Urgent things to discuss. So lose that face of disgust. No, this couldn't be an email. So come on down today. Building meeting today. Oh yeah, it's the building meeting today.
This building meeting is brought to you by Genuine Collision Center. Have you ever been involved in a car accident that has caused significant damage to your vehicle? If you've been in this situation, you know how hard it could be. Insurance, rentals, who can you trust to get your car back to normal? Well, if you're on Long Island, you go to Genuine Collision Center. Expert staff and help will help you every step of the way to get you back on the road. Steve answers the phone. Anthony, the manager, answers the phone. Call Genuine Collision Center today at 631-569-4540. And if you mention the Fandalorian podcast or podcast, no, just podcast, they will waive part or all of your deductible. Call 631-569-4540 today.
If they mention both ways, I think they'll take like the deductible and give you like $100. We just
The Mandalorian podcast?
Yeah. You know what? It sounds like a spinoff. I think how we're branching out there. They get that done. It is time. We want to talk about the comic. I'm very excited. Your comic book's called First Place Losers. It's available now on Kickstarter. High octane mech racing. Tell us a little bit about your comic book that you guys created, like the plot, characters, basic things about us. Let us know about your comic.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's exactly like you said. So sci-fi, big robots, they're racing around the track, high octane action. Basically, kind of Speed Racer, if you guys remember that back in the day. A lot of hijinks and action, but also, if you're familiar with Gundam or like mecha type stuff, guys riding around in giant robots, ton of action. And then there's a lot of character interplays, around the racetrack and, what's going on with the characters and some big reveals and different things in this issue, but we're not gonna let you know what those are. But
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But yeah,
No trailers for us, I say.
But it's a lot of action, but a lot of heart and some fun twists in there.
As someone who likes to write all the time, as like a hobby, I'm always into the creative process. What's the biggest challenge you face when you were creating First Place Losers?
You had to draw like 20 robots, Max. That was like,
Yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. I mean, by the time I joined the project, a lot of the sort of background world building had already been established by Andrew and Flobo. Some of the particular challenges I faced as sort of the art element was like all the sort of mechanical design pieces. You don't have to do this when you're drawing giant robots, but I'm definitely sort of driven by, in this case, a want or a need to understand like how these things work. So I wasn't just drawing, a robot that I thought looked cool. I was sort of like engineering it as well. And did some of those early designs make it into the back matter, Andrew? Like some of the frames and stuff?
those won't be in. They'll be in like the making of featurette. So yeah, those will be in there.
So I basically went and I because we're working in the story takes place in a racing league, so we figured there's going to be rules and regulations around what you can and cannot race. So just like in proper F1 or NASCAR, there are certain cars that are
Right.
built
Got
to
it.
specifications. And so I said, all right, well, let's do the same thing for these robots. So we have 3 types of robots: the gliders, the bruisers, and the polymaths. And basically every robot that is in Mechsport 1 fits into one of those categories. So my first big challenge was to just come up with those basic frame designs, and then figuring out how everything pieces together and keeping everything consistent from one mech to the other, but also not so consistent that it's boring, so you still feel like you're seeing a new mech or a new character every time you run into a new one. So that was probably, as far as challenges, that was probably my biggest challenge.
So I looked at the preview because you guys had sent me the preview, and I looked through it, and that was one thing I noticed, that all the mechs didn't look exactly the same. Like all the villains in like a G.I. Joe and Cobra, all the Cobra villains look exactly the same running down. It's like, oh, they're nameless people. I noticed it was a little different. Again, I'm not artistic that way, but I, even not being artistic, but being able to identify the fact that they were like slightly different, for lack of a better way of saying it, was one of the first things I noticed.
Jimmy, do you
I'm glad we did
remember? Remember they used to have the Ultimate Robot Fighting League,
Yes.
and it was just like the little teeny tiny robots. And
I do.
where they all fought each other.
Right.
And
Foley on the mic, yes.
And what made me think of that, based on this conversation, because I was looking at the art as well, because not the robots aren't exactly cookie cutters as well, because every single one of those like Ultimate Robot Fighter League robots looked completely different, because everyone's starting from a different basic idea, and so it was very creative. And I did see that in the art as well. I thought that was really, really good, Max. That was a nice idea.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we've seen a lot of things that look the same every time down the board. That's
right.
Let's say that. Well, you know what? They don't listen, but if they did, they don't.
But the creativity shows. Now,
definitely.
Guys, explain Kickstarter to our fans who may not know what that is. How do you prepare for a Kickstarter campaign, and what have you learned from the experience so far?
Yeah, so Kickstarter is basically it's a platform that you can put your product on there. It can be anything. There's people making music albums. There's people doing cookbooks. There's people doing gadgets. I've seen like crazy, a flashlight that can go underwater and you can light it on fire, and it's still, it's like all kinds of things, right?
I want
but
that right now. I need
One's
that.
for James Bond.
Patent. But yeah, so you can do all kinds of. But there's a great comics community on there, because there's multiple crowdfunding platforms on there around. There's Zoop is another one. There's Indiegogo. There's different ones out there, but Kickstarter has a real built-in comics community. So that was our big focus for going there. But yeah, so you go on there and you back the project. Your card doesn't get charged until the project has to be funded. So it's an all or nothing type thing, right? So if you don't get your goal, then you're not charged. But then, if it gets funded, then you're basically like pre-ordering a product. It's not like a donation thing, right? It's not like, I'm making these guys feel good. No, you're going to get your book, and there's reward tiers, depending on where you want to get, you can get different items.
I actually had no idea how that worked. I've seen it before. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. And obviously I could have looked it up, but now Andrew explained it, so I understand.
Well, and
that's good.
And one of the coolest things about Kickstarter is like, the profile that's running the thing you're interested in is run usually, except in a few cases, definitely in the comics space, it's always run by a real person who's sitting there and logging in every day. You can like interact with the creators. You can
That's great.
Buy into the thing at a level that sort of really rewards you on a level you're interested in. So, maybe you want like the poster, maybe you just want the book, maybe you want the t-shirt too. You can sort of mix and match, and it's a really great way specifically for comics to publish, because, you're also not like, you're printing everything and you're sending it out. So you can sort of gauge the spend that you need to make on that based on the direct interest. You're not sort of guessing and then facing these huge, scary situations where you suddenly bought like way too many comics from the printer, and then you're like in your office with like stacks of things with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
For the people who you said, I almost said donate, but I know it's not that, because you're actually purchasing the book. when they purchase the book, when they receive the book. What do you hope the readers take away from their experience with First Place Losers? What do you kind of hope they get from it?
I mean, for just me personally, but I hope they have a blast, right? I love when people read it and they take a picture that, they got their package and they show, and they'll tag us on social media or something. And, oh, I love this book. Or they put in the comments on the actual page, oh, this was great. Can't wait for the next one. I mean, that's the ultimate, because this is not through a publisher. This is something we were passionate about. We wanted to make. So once we complete it and get it out to you and then you say things like that, I mean, that's like the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah. You don't get into comics because you want to strike it rich. You get into comics because you have stories you want to share with people, and just to see that reaction to, especially like, we're going to do First Place Losers 1 now, and presumably we're going to do number 2 at some point in the future. And so like the really rewarding thing for us as creators, at least, I don't want to speak for Andrew, but for me specifically is, and probably for Andrew, it's a really cool thing when somebody comes back for the second time. I did a comic on Kickstarter, and we were fortunate enough to get enough interest for an issue 2. And it was really cool to see those returning people that are like interested in just these ideas that we have.
They're vested in the story. Yeah.
And then because it goes out to all over the world. There's like a few countries that you can't get Kickstarter at, but pretty much everywhere you can. But there's, so I'll be at a convention and I've had people come up to my table and be like, oh, I backed you on Kickstarter. And it's kind of cool. Then you can kind of make those connections that Max is talking about. But like that happens as well. But I mean, I've sent books. I'm just a special ed teacher and a dad by day, but just do this, when I can fit it in. And I've sent it to almost 30 countries, right? Just from Kickstarter.
That's great.
It's a cool platform.
Just to speak to that sort of small world aspect you referenced, like we did the other podcast, Corner Box, and David was like, "Oh, you did that?" And he's talking about Rum Row.
Oh, yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
The smallest of small worlds.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Final question. Anything else? Actually, guys, I'll give you the form. Anything else you want them to know about First Place Losers? Where to find it? How much? Anything you want us to know? Media, social media, whatever you got.
When are you guys going to talk about the treasure map that leads to the secret treasure?
It's in book 3.
Oh, okay, all right.
Come on, spoilers, McDonald.
Was I not supposed to say that so early?
No, it was in the writing. You didn't do the reading again. I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Did you mention the original art, Andrew?
Oh, I did not. That's a great thing to. Yeah, Max.
I saw it was in the tiers of
I saw that.
Kickstarter. That was
Yeah, there a lot of comics Kickstarters are drawn digitally. I'm in the fortunate position where I'm sort of trained to do this traditionally, and I have the time. So we're offering pieces of the actual book as one of our higher reward tiers.
Yeah, that's very, very cool.
That's cool.
Very cool. It's very satisfying to hold a page of original art. I have my own art all over the place, but whenever I get my hands on like another artist's page, it's just like, it's such a cool
because
art.
It makes it feel so real.
Yep.
You're like someone like sweat over this.
Yep. And you shouldn't touch it, but every so often, if you with a white gloved hand, if you run it down gingerly down the surface of a comic page,
feel the marks.
Yeah, it's very satisfying to do that.
God, you're such an artist.
I know. It's awesome. I love it.
Because I'm like, I would never think of that. You're just like, look at this cool piece of art.
That's awesome. Well, listen, First Place Losers out there. Kickstarter, the link to this is in the show. So open up your phone, wherever you listen to the app, you can click the link. You can jump right to it. We're excited. Thanks for having you on, but we're not done yet.
No, we got a very special surprise.
Kind of a lightning round segment at the end of the show. It's really quick. We're going to help you. It's kind of a game show, a little bit of a surprise. It is called Pop Quiz with the Fandalorians. We have 6 questions. Answer questions correctly, you get a point. We see how well you do. First question. And Mr. McDonald's always the judge in case we have a question about your answers. There is a town in Iowa that is the birthplace of the following famous people: jazz legend Bix Beiderbecke, NFL running back and 3-time Super Bowl champ Roger Craig, IBF and WBA middleweight boxer Michael Nunn, and WWE superstar Seth freaking Rollins. What town in Iowa are they from? It's tough. You can't look it up, guys. Don't cheat.
Oh, so it's not like multiple choice. It's just
Nah, just one.
Pick a
Do your
city in
best.
Iowa.
Do your best.
Ooh.
What if
Go ahead.
we don't know any cities in Iowa?
Then
Then
pick
you're gonna have
a
to take
city
the-
that may exist in Iowa.
Pleasantville, Iowa.
Iowa City. You know.
And I'm sorry. The answer
Potato
is
capital of the world.
the answer is Davenport, Iowa. I don't know.
Oh
All
no!
I
Yeah,
know-
you missed that.
Oh,
It was right there, man. It was
What's
right there. It's
the-
okay. You can come back around. It's only 1 point, guys. It's only
Did
1
he-
point. Next
what's-
question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You could go ahead.
No, I was
What
gonna
were
say,
you
what
gonna
was the? I only know what's the town Slipknot's from. I was.
Oh, I don't know.
oh, now
That's what-
don't turn it against us. We
Maxwell,
don't know all
Iowa.
the
Don't flip
answers.
it. Listen, we only made
Okay.
5. Stay
All right.
safe.
Okay.
All right. Listen, you're down. Don't have any points yet. We'll see how it goes. If Star Wars characters had social media accounts, which post would you most likely follow?
So who would
be
you
your
most
number
likely follow on Instagram?
if
The-
they had a Star Wars account?
The announcers for the podcast races.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what?
You
That's
know
the
what-
correct answer.
You know what? Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a great point. That's a, you know
Yep.
what? That's what we
Done.
had.
Done.
Go
We don't even
Max,
need
go
to know their
Max.
name.
No. That's a good. That's actually really good. I'd follow that podcast.
Played by Greg Proops of all people.
Yes.
You know, long shot, I might want to follow like Yoda. Might be some advice or uplifting stuff. But honestly, I can go with that one. We're going to take the point. The judges accept that. Your comic book, First Place Losers, available now on Kickstarter. Links in the show. Check it out. Has many characters. Which character would you most likely want to grab a beer with?
Would it be the lovable rogue?
I think it depends on what kind of night you're trying to have.
Oh, talk to us. Talk to us.
That's
Tell
a
us.
great point.
You know what? You know what? Tell us which night and where. Who would you take? I want to hear.
Andrew,
No.
you set the evening. Go ahead.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so I would say if you're trying to like really go to town,
Mhm.
and you're gonna wake up outside, you're gonna hang out with the pilot D.
Okay.
If you're want to have a beer or two and just have a nice conversation, but maybe if you won, maybe it's gonna get a little. Maybe you're gonna have a little few more. Then I would say with Jocko.
So more of a slow burn.
Slow burn, yeah. If you really want, there might be other things other than alcohol with Silo.
It's a
that
kitchen,
might-
but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said.
Yeah, other things. He's talking about
Yeah.
soda, guys.
Uh,
Talking about
yeah.
soda.
That's what we do at school too. Because I have 21-year-olds in my class, so I have to say, Mister, I was like, well, you had soda. You had
Yeah.
soda at the gathering.
Mandated reporter.
We're talking about non-alcoholic beer.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And what you said is exactly what I have down here. That is the correct answer. Good job. You guys are doing well. You've
Absolutely.
come back.
All right. You got 2
You lost
points
the
so far.
first one. You are both, question number 4. You're both teachers. Would you rather question? And Mr. McDonald's going to give him the answer. Would you rather have to teach a class full of energetic kindergartners on a sugar rush, or a
The other
class
one.
of sleepy a class of sleepy middle school students right after lunch? You guys have to agree on an answer, though, I'm afraid.
Middle schoolers.
Yeah,
Every time.
McDonald?
yeah,
McDonald?
You both say middle schoolers?
yeah.
All right. That answer is wrong. The correct answer is neither.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was a little surprise choice you weren't aware about. That's okay. That's okay, because either one of those are terrible.
Yeah, they're the worst.
There's a plot twist here. You weren't prepared.
One of
That's
them's
My,
quiet though. One of those options
my-
is a quiet.
That is true. Yes. But
My
a quiet
youngest-
classroom is a bad classroom.
My youngest grades are sixth graders, so
Yeah,
I,
they're
I have a hard time sometimes with sixth graders. I should be
Yeah.
teaching it at a college, really. but-
the.
Your comic, First Place Losers, available now on Kickstarter. The link is in the show. Check it out. Great comic book or the greatest comic book?
Oh,
Uh,
I think
Take the good answer, guys. What are we doing?
Just-
Don't do this.
greatest. Yes.
Thank
greatest.
you. Take the
Yeah, that's it.
answer.
That's the correct answer. If you
You're
would have said
serving it
great,
up for
I would have said stop being so modest.
Yeah.
I always
Did
lean
you-
towards that.
Yeah, no. Did you hear about
You're
the
gonna
mechs?
be a bear, be a grizzly.
Did
Let's
you
go.
hear about how
Yeah.
the mechs don't all look the same? And there's a guy who would make a great drinking buddy. It's clearly the greatest.
Come on, someone
Fine.
legit thought about the engineering of robots
What are we
in
doing?
this comic.
It's the greatest. Stop being ridiculous. All right, you're doing well. Last question. First place losers available now on Kickstarter. Please check the link. You saw how many times I plugged it, McDonald. I'm a great.
Thank you.
Oof.
Thank you.
Wow,
I
you
think
are
you might
a
have the
chill.
broadcast
I
link,
love it.
I'm bringing it tonight. I'm tired, but I'm bringing it because it's late here. Suppose you decide to include the Fandalorians in your universe at some point. How would we fit into the comic and its universe?
I think we're drawing lots of crowds all the time. So if you guys wanted to be cheering fans, I'm always looking for faces to add. Let's see.
I got an answer that I thought I did.
Screenshot there.
Yeah.
Screenshot that real quick.
I got another one
Well-
to add. I would say we could even put you guys in. We need the mechanics in fixing robots, but you have to be fast, because the robots have to get back on the track.
Yeah, I'm too slow for that. Can you do some sort of podcast about the robots? I can do that.
Can't wait.
I mean,
Yeah.
is there podcasting in this universe? I feel like I should find a home there somehow.
Okay, yeah, you guys can have your own
We're like
intergalactic
Mech
Grand
Radio,
Prix.
Mech Radio, brought
There
to
you
you
go.
by
There
Pat
you go.
McDonald.
I
And I
feel
get-
like
There you go.
I could be down there helping to fix the card, but I'm not really handy. But I could be there, especially if you, like, I don't know, need an extra black character to be able to decide. That way you don't get canceled. I'm in. I'll just stand there and just be
Be
there.
there for
like this.
profiling purposes.
Yeah, no, I'm in for that. I'm in for that. You know what? And we're keeping
Andrew, we need more tokens.
Put Richardson in again, like two of me, just one to the right and left. That would work. You know what? That's the correct answer. That
You
is
know
the
what?
correct answer.
We'll have to put Mr. G in the comics so he can be someone we go get a beer with.
There you go.
There
He's
you
having a book club in the corner. Be excited.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for joining us today. Did you have fun?
Oh yeah, that was a
Good.
blast.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much for being here. Again, the comic is called First Place Losers, available now on Kickstarter. The link's in the bio of the show. Click it, join the link. Get in one of these little tiers here and get the comic. McDonald, I'm getting a comic. You know that. I think I told you that
Absolutely.
last
I'm already on the site.
Like,
Yeah, no, I can't wait. This is going to be great.
no, especially since we're going to be in issue 6. So I'm
Yeah. No, we are the crux of episode 6. They don't know it yet.
Key. It's almost like the Quinticons. Remember in that Transformers movie?
Yes,
Like, you can sit on there.
it'll be
Yeah,
3
I
heads
don't know if you
that
guys
turn.
saw that in 1985, but just sit there innocent and drop in the water. Some people get that reference, and that one joke makes me happy. Guys,
Yeah, there's some 48-year-old man who's like, yeah.
yes, Transformers 1985. All right, thanks again for joining us. The comics out there in Kickstarter. Click the link, check it out. Buses are in the circle, Mr. McDonald. We got to get out of here. For Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Davenport, and Mr. McDonald, my name is Mr. Richardson. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you next time. Kickstarter!